All right, welcome everyone. We're going to give it a minute here to let others join, but for those of you who are joining us, welcome to our webinar today, From Complexity to Clarity, AI and Agility Layer for Intelligent Insurance. We'll get started with introductions in just a moment. Thank you for signing up and for your attendance. Again, we'll give it another minute before we start in on introductions and then our main concepts and topics. Thank you. Just seeing some folks file in. Thanks for joining. All right, we'll give it another 30 seconds and get started. Thanks everyone who's filing in. All right, we'll get started here. Again, thank you everyone for joining here. We'll get started with some introductions, then we'll go through core concepts. But why don't we let our EXL partners start off first, and then we'll move over to the Appian folks who are hosting the webinar. So Vikram, why don't you introduce yourself?
Appreciate it. Thank you, Jack. My name is Vikram Machado. I've been in the industry for close to 2 decades. And I lead the life, retirements, annuities, and group practice at EXL. Vikrant, over to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Vikrant. I lead our AI consulting practice here at EXL. And in this role, I get to work with our clients and help them solve their topmost business problem with solutions that sit at the intersection of AI, data, and industry expertise. Looking forward to this discussion. Michaela?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Michaela Morari. I've been with Appian since 2018 as a senior solution consultant. And over the past few years, I had the chance to work closely with insurers to rethink and modernize their processes. Over
Thanks,
to Andrew.
Michaela. Yeah, I'm Jack Maroney. Nice to meet everyone here. I'm an account executive here in the Northeast in our insurance business vertical. I'm getting to talk to many customers, some of whom I see in the crowd here today, some great names at big carriers in both life and P&C, and here just to share a couple core concepts and some of the use cases that we're seeing in the industry that are bubbling up and that we think have value. So I'll pass to Andy before we get into some of those concepts.
Thanks, Jack. Andy Kearns. I lead our insurance efforts at Appian across North America. And then participate across the globe where I can. Similar to Vikram, been in the insurance industry for about 2 decades, about a year with Appian, helping insurers become more efficient in their processes and systems that bring AI to life and help with core systems like underwriting and claims. So super excited to be here today. Thanks.
Thank you, Andy. Thanks to everyone for their introductions. Just a brief agenda here. Obviously, we went through introductions. We're going to have a bit of an open discussion with the panelists about what they're seeing in the industry, talk about some of the trends that they're seeing with their customer base. And then we're going to talk about some specific use cases and lines of business, specifically where we can find quick wins in P&C, claims, pension, life. And then we'll actually see a demonstration led by Michaela, followed by Q&A and a brief call to action at the end. So I want to set some context around one of the main concepts that we're going to speak about today. Obviously, AI is a buzzword. Maybe agility layer is a buzzword to you as well. So let's just explain what we mean by both of these things. So when I'm talking to my customers, a lot of them have this request for an agility layer, or they might not know that it's an agility layer, but it is. And they say to me, we've invested in these systems, these policy administration systems, CRM systems, customer service systems, what have you. And we don't want to either extend those, which would be costly, to create an experience that we want for our underwriters, our claims adjusters, our other end users. And we don't necessarily want to buy out-of-the-box technology that fits one specific purpose-built solution. We want an end-to-end unified view across a specific process. Process could be onboarding, customer service. What we're going to talk about today is claims and underwriting. And so what we do at the beginning here is just assess what's the data landscape, what are the systems that you're using, And what Appian usually does is we take our data fabric, which exists as a virtualized data layer, and connects to all those systems so that we're not making this a giant data migration effort. We're not consolidating everything into one specific system. We are leveraging your investments, multiplying their value, and putting the data at the right place, the right time within a given process. And then we're using that process layer and the data within the process layer to power the process. So we can think about AI within process, and we're going to talk about that, as a form of automation within that process layer. We are automating steps within the process. And we're giving that power to the end user who's experiencing the entire workflow within that agility layer, that unified view, the 360-degree view that's taking all the data from those existing systems, accessing the data and putting it into process, and then using AI, RPA, integrations, smart services to make their job easier and having a phenomenal user experience in UI in that agility layer so that their job within that process becomes easier. So that's the agility layer. Next, we're going to talk about AI within process. And as an example, we're going to use underwriting and where we could use AI in underwriting, because I think to this audience, this is a familiar topic. So one of the things where we're seeing a lot of value within this process of underwriting, and this showcases everything within Appian's framework of connected underwriting. So submission and quote prep all the way to quote binding. We're seeing a lot of values actually at the beginning because there are repetitive submission preparation tasks, which are sometimes low in accuracy. They're high in repetitive copy paste type functions. And so that's where we can leverage AI to be the lodestar for the process. We can have AI document center and AI skills extract the information from maybe an accord form or a loss run. And we're significantly reducing the amount of manual effort. Everyone likes to have their underwriting submissions prepped for them, but if we can do it much more efficiently and accurately, of course we want to do so. And that's a perfect place for AI. After we get through triage and assignment, and then we start info gathering and communications, we see another opportunity, which is improvement in communication efficiency. So we can think of things like document summarization, even document chat, record summarization, and think about how much efficiency is gained by just chatting with your own data. I think that's a really powerful concept, not necessarily training on your data, but being able to chat with all of your connected sources and systems in one place and not have to swivel chair from system to system. And a semantic layer makes it a lot easier. And it also generates efficiency because your time is saved in that communication cycle. And so we're able to drive business through that efficiency because we're able to address more submissions. Then obviously we can use AI. It's artificial intelligence. We'd hope that it'd be intelligent enough to give us some recommendations, especially on risk. Obviously, this is the critical part of the underwriting cycle. Do we want to actually underwrite this risk? And so we can use AI again from a generative standpoint to assess your rules and assess whether the risk is worth it for a specific underwriter. It can also help to prioritize that risk as well within your own system and within that view. And again, all of this is happening in one place for the underwriter. They're not going from system to system. They have that 360-degree view so that they can make that final decision to bind the risk and then quote and finalize it as well. So, and underneath all this are some concepts I talked about before, the data fabric, which is accessing your policy administration system, maybe your CRM, you have the claims data and that information, as well as all the information that's been extracted from the documents. We're using process automation. I give AI as a perfect example of process automation. That total experience is the 360-degree view, the single pane of glass. And then process intelligence. How well are we performing in the given process? What can we do to make it better? And leveraging that audit level data reporting to make those iterative improvements. So just want to give those as context for the conversation we're going to have today, because I know these are going to come up over and over again, and obviously they're in the title as well. So now we're going to open up to the panel discussion, and I'll walk through, I think, probably 3 or 4 questions for our panelists who are seeing a lot of valuable information and use cases in their day-to-day with their clients. So let's start off with question 1, and I'll pose it to you, Andy. what are some of the emerging macro trends that you're seeing in the world of insurance technology when you're out in the market today?
Thanks, Jack. Certainly, the last 5 years in insurance have been a roller coaster ride. And while we have a return to profitability across many lines of business, the sting of inflation and the challenges that have existed over the last 5 years are not soon forgotten. So we're definitely seeing a focus on the business of insurance of efficiency, getting our underwriting profits to where they need to be, growing premium without growing headcount, and making sure that the business is sustainable as it gets moving forward without an over-reliance on investment income or outside opportunities to make our businesses be as successful as they can be. So when you think about efficiency, you think about systems that help drive efficiency. Over the years, insurance has invested heavily in policy administration systems. They've invested heavily in connected and online distribution opportunities, invested heavily in claim systems. And Jack, as you mentioned at the top of your comments, there's not a huge appetite to continue to revamp those core systems, but more there's how do we leverage what we've already invested in over the years and get the efficiency out of bringing those systems together through an agility layer like concept that you've talked about, and bringing more value to the organization by connecting our data, connecting our systems, and allowing our experience for our employees and for our customers to be more connected and have more of a 360 view of what's going on. And then as the technology continues to help in that order, it's really about driving efficiency into making sure your processes, so you're cutting out manual touch points where they don't have to exist. You talked about AI in the process of underwriting. AI in process is very helpful in that it puts AI to work. It brings AI to where the work is happening within those processes, and it gets it done. So AI with submission ingestion, AI with complex medical document ingestion and extraction, and then giving the information to underwriters or to adjusters in the moment where they needed to make decisions. Super impactful in today's technology landscape, and also as you build for the future, making sure that you have and that you've reduced the manual touch points to the extent possible. It helps for your business, and then it also helps as we have an aging population of underwriters and claims adjusters across the industry, people that will retire and take much of their knowledge with them. And how do you replace that? What's the opportunity? And the opportunity is, how do we make our system smarter so that when you bring new people on, you augment that opportunity? And how do you make it so that the business of insurance is an exciting place to land, because our new employees are given great opportunities with the technology at hand? So obviously a lot going on in the insurance industry, and really a drive towards efficiency is where we're having most of our conversations.
Thanks, Andy. I'm glad you mentioned both the employee experience and the focus on manual activity. I mean, I think what we're doing with efficiency and technology is removing a lot of the boring work, frankly. So, Vikrant, curious to what you're seeing in the market from a macro trend perspective, or building off of anything that Andy had mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Andy did touch upon some of the larger business objectives that are quite common to a lot of insurance companies, whether it's profitability, or delivering the right employee and customer experiences, or reducing your expenses. And our conversations with our clients are no different. But a lot of them have started to focus on AI and AI capability, because finally we are seeing a technology that actually has the potential to influence all three of them. It can help you go to market better. It can reduce your expenses. It can help you actually deliver a better employee and customer experience. And that has created a lot of interest in executive in terms of exploring what this technology can do for them, and where they should apply, where they should start, and where they should scale. One thing that we keep telling our clients is not to lose focus of the fact that while this technology is powerful, the real value of this technology only comes when you combine it with data and domain experience. So we spend a lot of time telling our clients that while it's great to prove the concept of this technology and develop trust in the technology, if you really want to scale it, and if you really want to turn it something that creates a meaningful impact on your business, do not forget about the rest of the pieces that you have to bring to the table. Make them work together, make them work jointly, make them scalable, so that it takes you all the way to the journey where you're starting to see meaningful results. And our conversations are, as they're starting to take hold, obviously there's sort of a spectrum of maturity across the different companies and their appetite to go down this path. But the amount of conversations that we are having where either we are telling our clients to test the technology or set up a POC or set up a COE as an enterprise level, they're tremendous. And one shape or form, that's where executives are spending a lot of their time, and that's where there's a real appetite.
Yeah, awesome. I'm glad you mentioned the acumen and the experience level. I noticed that especially in insurance as I've moved around from different industries on our side, is that insurance wants to know that you've deployed, you've brought value to your clients, and you've done it over and over again and know the process well. Right. So talking about specific process and operational areas, Vikram, I'd ask you to maybe expand on that and talk about what are the operational areas that you're seeing drive the most interest from an automation perspective or an agility perspective, and maybe some of the challenges that you're noticing as well.
Yeah. I think at a high level, the areas of interest continue to be the large pockets of both effort and customer touch points that has always been in insurance company, which is underwriting, claims, operations, and customer contact centers. But what we are starting to see is that clients are starting to understand that this technology, especially in the form of AI combined with workflows, or AI combined with workflows and agentic AI, can help them deepen the penetration of automation that you can create across the board. This technology can help them take more complex tasks, more cognitive tasks, and give it to technology in a way that it reduces dependency on human and creates capacity for some of your most important resources to spend time on more productive activities. Giving you an example, if you look at, let's say, claims automation, there was a lot of effort done to, let's say, automate FNOL or some of the tasks around processing the work. Now we are starting to see application of AI around adjudication. We are starting to see application of agents that can manage other agents across the value chain, and that's significantly starting to increase the straight throughput of complete end-to-end processes. So that is the flavor of what the technology is bringing to the table, and that is the flavor of transformation that is getting applied to processes from the first step to the last step.
That's great. I find the agent concept really exciting, and more you can put STP, the better, obviously, from an efficiency perspective. So we're hearing that a lot. Drive STP within our organization. Tell us how you do it. So Vikram, I pose the same question to you: the operational areas and maybe some of the challenges you're seeing.
Yeah, I think Vikrant has been a couple of the areas of operationalizing some of these tech-driven initiatives or transformation tech-driven initiatives. But I'll take a step back and I'll say that from a client perspective, what I'm seeing in the life insurance industry and probably across the board is clients now looking to organize more around the customer rather than the transaction, right? And moving from a model which was originally high touch and in some cases high cost to right touch, and using AI and data to really drive those next best actions. And this could be in the underwriting space and creating more bandwidth for those underwriters. Now, in the life insurance space, there is still some regulatory concerns where you're not having a lot of decisioning. It's more an assist model, right? And then bending the claims curve, right? Making better decisions faster, again, enabled by AI and data. And I think while that's great, where some life insurers are having to start off on this journey is by finding those data swamps, right? And these are the challenges, right? And building data lakes, because there's a lot of data available. It's just not harnessable in the fashion you need. And I think to that extent, what you're seeing is a lot of unification, and life insurance companies have a plethora of policy admin platforms, right? From acquisition, inheritance, whatever else. And what you're seeing is now a unification of these platforms. So a large effort taken, especially for the open blocks, to bring policies onto one platform, to unify the data, to use that data, overlay it with AI, and really go to the proverbial AI for data and data for AI, and looking to drive better output and outcomes and enable their reps to be better equipped to manage conversations, right? So I think we are seeing a significant amount of this activity in terms of building blocks. What we're also seeing, and I won't touch so much on agentic because I know Vikrant already has, but I'll talk about one other challenge. I'll say this: in some insurance organizations, while there is a call to arms now because expense ratios have become a significant challenge, right? And nobody wants to be left behind. Nobody wants to be the first mover either, right? So what you are seeing is fit for purpose, limited use cases. And in some cases, really a challenge is funding, and immediate funding, right? Because folks do not, it's a holding pattern which says I need saves, but I need to invest for those saves. And if I invest for those saves, then what do I do about this year and the next year before it goes to full production in year 3? So I think that's where working with partners who can bring in creative commercials so that you don't really have any negative cash flow in any year, but you see those benefits or front load some of those benefits, right? And I think the final bit is AI is great and it is poised to make some significant changes, and it is making some changes already. But then the whole regulatory aspect around it, right? And most organizations now have responsible AI forums. So I don't think as partners, when we go in with an AI solution, I think we need to go in with a governance model as well, right? Or a governance partner to say, hey, here's how we are de-risking it for you. Here's how the compliance and the security works around it, right? And here's the difference it's going to make to the end customer. So I'll pause there. There's obviously, you can talk about this till the cows come home, but I'll leave it there for now.
Yeah, so building off your comments on, building creative commercials and the value that you're getting out, the outcomes that you're getting out of it, what are some of maybe the use cases or capabilities that you're seeing people build business cases around that are driving value, or maybe POCs that are driving value? What do you anticipate maybe from, it could be a use case or a capability that is driving value for the organizations you're speaking with?
Right, so, in our current landscape, the workflow and the workforce are evolving at speed, right? And capability prioritization will really need to be lockstep with enabling this evolution, as well as aligning with an organization's strategic priorities, right? So there's that balance. And really the unequivocal priorities that we've been hearing from our clients have been centered around growth and persistency, driving expense ratio reduction, and really looking at CX as the underlying layer, with experience driving the technology and not vice versa. So with this backdrop, I would say, you need to start off by keeping it simple, and really key capabilities are doubling down on agentic. The reason why the industry is in POC mode at the moment, right? And almost pilot purgatory from an agentic perspective, where a lot of people are in the test and learn phase. But I think sometimes folks are also being too ambitious with what use cases they're going with. I think when you limit the use case, and I'll give you an example, right? We're working with a client and building out in the life insurance world, a universal life policy surrender. Sounds reasonably simple, right? Why would you need an agentic system with agents as part of that? Really because there's a cost basis calculation, there's extraction, validation, etc. There's letter generation at the end. And then most insurance carriers have the batch run challenge, which means that they can only release it after 2 days, right? In this case, you can build in, and we have built an agentic model, which has 5 different agents in it, right? Right from an extraction agent to a validation agent, to a calculation agent for the cost basis, to a letter generation agent, and you still have a human in the loop, right? We've maintained that. So a process that used to be about 45 minutes end-to-end, system dependencies, slightly error prone from a calculation perspective, is now completely automated, and you do have the human in the loop who's probably using 3 or 4 minutes at the end. And these agentic systems can also integrate with your data layer directly, which means they can probably circumvent a batch run and allow you to deliver this. In a similar fashion, I think a lot of carriers, group carriers, and we're working with one of the largest group carriers out there, from something as simple as letter generation. Again, it's a cost, right? There's millions of letters. There's 3,000 odd templates that they work with, right? And there's a lot of effort that goes in. And this is something that is ripe for AI, it's lower risk, right, and significant cost reduction. So that's one area we're working on as well. But I'm going to flip this slightly as well, because when I think about capabilities, for me, I'm also thinking about who are the people who are evangelizing these capabilities, right? So technology of the future or solutions of the future need to be driven by talent of the future. And especially as we move from this high touch to the right touch operating model that I was talking about. So I think looking inwards, focusing on change management is key to make this successful, because adoption, not just by your clients, but by your own teams, is critical, right? So you need an AI-enabled, educated, and ready workforce, right? And then they can have, empathy backed by action, high-velocity decision-making powered by AI and data, right? So investing on that is critical, because what we have seen in certain carriers, and I'll give you an example on underwriting. Whatever solution you put in underwriting, it's supposed to cut 40% of the time, 50% of the time. These are numbers you'll see on every use case. It doesn't really always happen, because underwriters have muscle memory sometimes, and they will go back and perform those steps. So unless you work through that change management of how to actually deploy in the fashion you want to and to monitor it, I think that bit is going to be key. I'll pause there.
Awesome. Thank you, Vikram. I'm glad you mentioned the human in the loop aspect. I'm surprised that it took us that long to drop human in the loop through the presentation. But I think, it's great that you mentioned it for a number of reasons. One, we're making the human more powerful through augmentation of AI. And I think it's a good way to de-risk any sort of AI POC or process, because you have that human control, especially at the beginning of a process when you don't really know what it's going to do. You haven't validated the accuracy or things like that. That's what we're seeing in our customer base. Andy, I know you're speaking to a lot of the same customers I am. What are you seeing from a value perspective? What capabilities or use cases are driving the most value that you're seeing?
Yeah, so Jack, let me just give you an example. And I've cheated a little bit and looked down at some of the questions coming in from Joe and Marco, and I think I'll answer a little bit of their questions with this example. So we have a very large and old insurance company from the Asia Pacific region, and this company was struggling with profitable growth because they have a very high touch system on their commercial lines, complex property business. And so what happens is, in this region, they don't have standard forms when brokers reach out to ask for quotes. They don't have a standard format within which you might send over an asset sheet or loss runs or whatever it might be that's asked for. And so this particular carrier was only able to get to about 1 in 7 submissions that came their way to truly underwrite them and have a chance to close that business. So they found this huge bottleneck right at the beginning, because there's a team of underwriting operations specialists that have to go in. They have to, look at the emails. They have to rekey all the information from the email into their quoting system, and then they have to assign that to an underwriter and start the process. So they came to Appian and said, "Can you help us with this? Can you make us more efficient?" So we deployed a generative AI model that will then eventually feed into an agentic process for them. But we've deployed this generative AI model that now ingests all of their information. We've got it up to 99.5% accuracy, able to replace 12 people. So these 12 people are redeployed in a different area. And so now all of the ingestion of these submissions goes through this AI tool, and then it populates their quoting tool only with the relevant information. So the AI skill is reading the documentation, ingesting it, and extracting it, and pushing it off, and pushing it into the appropriate system, and then assigning it to the appropriate underwriters. With that capability, this company is now able to look at essentially 100% of the quotes that come their way. And from this, at the onset of the operation, they said, "Hey, can we potentially add $400,000 per month of new revenue through this process?" And that was kind of where the gauntlet was thrown down, and let's see if we can make that happen. Very quickly, they got to $400,000 per week, not just per month. And now they're at $1 million per week in new revenue the incremental new revenue that they weren't getting before, simply by removing the manual touch and the choke point of all of the in data extraction and data ingestion, all the things that we're coming to. So this is a strong opportunity for all carriers to look at and say, where is it that I'm having these high touch points and these choke points that are making it so that I can't grow faster than I can add people. And the value is truly there, $1 million per week in new business. So now they're growing at a clip that they never anticipated, very profitably. They redeployed 12 people into a different organization. And they were able to do this with very old, complex systems that have been in place for many, many years. And their first effort took about 6 weeks for them to get going with this. So when you build AI in process in a low code type environment, you can build on top of existing systems. You don't have to replace everything. You don't have to migrate data, and you can build it very quickly. And when AI is in that process that you're building out the process, it brings value right away, and it brings tremendous value to the conversation, the organization. So absolutely, every organization can do this, and they should look at it for the opportunities to where it can get better. And absolutely, you should look at the value and drive to the highest value opportunities, and then hold everybody accountable to make sure that you're achieving the value that you set out to achieve.
Awesome. Great example. Just to recap, I heard 99% accuracy, 6-week deployment to build out that capability, an extra $1 million a week, and 12 FTE reassigned. So hopefully that answers some of the questions we have below. So thank you to all the panelists. Really appreciate it. Appreciate your insights and what you're seeing from your customer base. Would love to continue the conversation with others that have joined the webinar today. If you guys want to reach out and discuss some of these use cases and some of your own challenges, would obviously like to do so. What we're going to do now is move on to a demonstration. So Michaela has a couple slides that she's going to open up with, and then we're going to actually show you the examples of claims and underwriting use cases with AI in process and examples of an agility layer. So thanks again to all the panelists, and then I'll hand it over to Michaela.
Thank you, Jack. So as we just heard from our Appian and EXL industry leads, there are a couple of challenges to address and lots of opportunities to improve and achieve excellence. But in my experience working with insurance companies, I'm seeing two recurrent patterns that can make or break the operational excellence. And number one is having access to the right data at the right time. And the second one is using intelligence and act on it efficiently. And if we look at the claims and underwriting, which are two critical processes whose speed, accuracy, and the customer experience matter most, in claims, you need to quickly gather information, to triage it, to detect fraud, and to keep the customer informed, all while you are navigating data across policy systems, emails, vendor portals. And the same for underwriting. You must make complex and risk decisions. And the same, you are using scattered information from application, long documents with medical exam, and third-party sources. And that's why we believe that embedding agility layer and AI within the process makes the difference, because it's a game changer. The agility layer help us to unify the data in a one seamlessly view. So no matter where the data resides, without the need to duplicate it or to create another legacy, and the AI adds that intelligence that helps you accelerate the end-to-end processes. So in the next 15 minutes, I will walk you through two critical processes. First will be claim for the auto segment, followed by underwriting live, where I'll be focusing on managing the end-to-end process using the power of AI and the agility layer. Let's start with a familiar story. Meet Andy, a senior under. We'll focus on a real-world scenario, commercial auto claim, from first notice of loss all the way to resolution, showcasing how unified data and embedded AI streamline every step of the process. Imagine you've just been in a car accident. you take photos, you fill out an online claim form, and send it all via email to your insurer general claims inbox. Traditionally, that email might sit in a queue for hours, if not for days, until it is triaged, classified, and assigned to the right claim specialist. But with Appian's agility layer and AI, the process begins instantly. Welcome to the Claims Workbench, which provides claims adjuster access to crucial information about their assigned claims and tasks. This page allows them to track KPIs, view all tasks assigned to them, stay updated on the assigned claims, and see upcoming task due dates. That claim we just sent through email, it was auto-created the moment our email arrived. How? Let's take a look behind the scenes to see how Appian's GenAI makes it happen. Appian Agent Studio is a dedicated workspace where developers can configure AI agents to automate complex, open-ended tasks directly within the business processes. I'm showing it today so you can see how easy it is to build and deploy AI agents and how powerful they can be for your claims and underwriting teams. With Agent Studio, developers can equip AI agents with the right tools and guardrails so they can act autonomously, whether it's triaging claims, summarizing documents, or routing underwriting submissions. And for you and your team, this means fewer manual tasks, faster decision-making, and higher efficiency. Here I am in Agent Studio, where I can see a list of all configured agents. Let's take a closer look. This agent runs to a process, meaning it's triggered with real data, like a claim ID, a folder of claim attachments, and the relevant accord form. We've also included a description and assignment instruction to ensure the full clarity around what this agent is designed to do. And like all Appian agents, this one uses a set of AI-powered tools to execute its tasks. On completion, it will generate valuable output. Summary of the claim, a recommended team assignment based on our triage policy, and some insights like coverage analysis. Let's have a look into monitoring to see what our agent did in practice. It first analyzed the attached accord form that contains the details about the incident. Next, it will analyze the picture of the accident, the police and medical reports to generate a loss description, including damaged parts, and reparation cost estimation. The connected claim solution is powered by a robust data model that seamlessly integrates Appian data with external sources such as Guidewire, DACRI, CRM system, and document repositories. For insurance, this means your AI agent has access to all critical information it needs. Policy details, claimant data, supporting documents, right at the start of the claims intake process. The last step is the assignment to the right team, and to accomplish this, the agent will analyze accident details, vehicle information, and will assess the claim against the policy. No manual work and guesswork, just smart, consistent automation, getting the right claim to the right expert faster. And here is another example of how AI streamlines the claim process. By analyzing the loss description alongside historical policy data, generative AI can quickly assess potential coverage, including whether the deductible applies or not. Based on predefined business rules and instruction, it provides intelligent recommendation to the claim settlement team, and this way will eliminate the guesswork and reduce the time spent on coverage and deductible determination. Coming back to the claims workspace, this is the source of truth for everything related to the claims. And thanks to AI, the information isn't just collected, it's organized and made actionable. The adjusters can clearly see their assigned task as well as their progress toward key milestones in the claims journey, like triage, enrichment, and settlement. It's all designed to keep the process moving forward efficiently. You'll notice that this claim has been flagged for subrogation review because during the assignment process it was detected that multiple parties were involved and the other party may be liable for the accident.
This early insight means faster recovery action and reduced claims leakage, which is critical for improving the loss ratio. Next up on the adjuster's to-do list is to complete the fraud detection questionnaire, which luckily our adjuster has already done. This is another area where we have embedded the AI into the process by analyzing the responses and generating a fraud risk score. In this case, it's low. So it proceeds, but is flagged as high, it will auto-route to the Special Investigation Unit fraud team for further investigation. Now, let's take a look at the submitted images. The AI detects the damaged parts, bumper, the headlight, frame, and it will generate a repair cost estimate, including labor and damaged parts. And with this, the adjuster can set more accurate reserves, can fast-track repair scheduling, but can also accelerate the settlement for the customer. And when it comes to reserve and settlement, the financial section of the solution is designed specifically for that purpose. Once a claim reaches the settlement stage, the payments can be scheduled directly from the platform, with seamless integration into your existing financial systems. And you can also efficiently manage and adjust reserves as needed through all the claims lifecycle. So to recap, we just explored how Appian Connected Claims delivers a modern end-to-end solution that streamlines the entire claims lifecycle, from first notice of loss to final resolution. Powered by AI platform, it serves as an agility layer over your existing systems, seamlessly connecting people, data, and processes without the need to rip and replace what's already in place. What sets this solution apart is how AI is embedded directly within the process, not just aside. And this means smarter triage, faster decision-making, and proactive insights delivered right where your adjuster needs them, without switching tools or breaking the flow. What we covered today is just a high-level overview of the Connected Claims solution. There is also a claims configuration area for business users that lets you tailor workflows, tasks, rules, and other lines of business. We'd be happy to follow up after the session to explore how this could help you modernize and scale your claims operation with speed and intelligence. Let's start with a familiar story. Meet Andy, a senior underwriter at a large life insurer. Each morning, Andy juggles e-application, policy admin, document management systems, and long email threads, just to piece together one application. He's digging through 50+ pages of PDFs, he's following up for missing data, and documenting decisions manually. It's no wonder cycle times stretch into days or weeks, and underwriters spend more time collecting data than assessing risk. And that's the challenge Appian has built to solve. With Appian Connected Underwriting Workbench, Andy's day looks very different. This pre-built solution combines unified data via Appian Agility Layer, embedded AI, and integrated risk tools and automation to streamline and accelerate the underwriting workflows. High-value cases are prioritized, and submissions that met auto-approval threshold are already processed. Andy now starts with a 360 view of every active case. Let's open one. Instantly, Andy sees everything he needs thanks to the agility layer, which unifies data from e-applications, policy administration system, Swiss Re, Magnum Pure for decisions, and internal, external document sources. Here, Andy can track requirement statuses from order to review, can get AI-generated risk flags, and he can collaborate with brokers or operations, no email chasing, and clearly see all prior interactions and documents in one single place. This means also faster onboarding for new underwriters and more confident data-baked decision. Let's go deeper. Andy clicks into a referral. It includes a 50-page Appian report, lab results, and a scan form. Traditionally, Andy would open each file, search manually for red flags, and copy-paste key information into another system. With Appian's AI-powered ingestion, that's all automated. As the documents arrive, AI extracts structured data. Conditions, medications, lab results, organized and ready for review. So Andy can search the document semantically. For instance, was an electrocardiogram performed? He can review the summaries at a glance. And now he can spend his time reviewing and not typing. Now that Andy has everything he needs in one place, from the proposed insured application, supporting documents, all the way to the contextual data pulled from external systems, he's ready to make a decision. He clicks to run a real-time risk assessment via Swiss Re's Magnum Pure, already integrated into the workbench. Based on the insurer configure rules and forms, Magnum Pure returns a transparent, data-backed risk recommendation. No need to switch the system. Andy can see the full risk rationale, he can validate the assessment, and he can still make the final call based on his expertise. As he accepts the submission, all the data flows automatically to the policy administration system. No rekeying, no delays, and the broker is notified in real time. What used to take days, now it takes minutes. Let's take a quick peek behind the scenes. So what you saw is powered by Agility Layer and AI, and they are both game changer. We don't need to migrate or duplicate the data. The solution can connect seamlessly to your e-application, core systems, policy administration, document management system, and other third-party tools in real time. So we can eliminate the fragmented processes and all the data silos. AI Document Center is integrated within our underwriting and claims workbenches and empowers teams of any technical skill level to create and refine AI classification and extraction models. In this example, we'll see how the Appian extraction model was configured. Remember the 50-page PDF document. We can define the fields we want to extract and the output type, while we can adapt instantly to new formats or regulatory changes. With Prompt Builder, you can test and fine-tune the prompts to get precise results from diverse document types, including PDFs, forms, and handwritten notes. And AI Document Center, it's built with enterprise-grade features like version control, accuracy metrics, and a robust reconciliation framework. And most importantly, it's built on a human-in-the-loop philosophy, meaning that AI doesn't replace your experts, but it augments them, delivering better outcomes while keeping you in control. To recap, Appian delivers a modern underwriting workbench experience with unified data across all systems, embedded AI to handle unstructured content, integrated decision support from tools like Magnum Pure, and straight-to processing to your core platforms. It's not just faster underwriting, it's smarter, more scalable, and it's ready today.
Awesome. Thank you, Michaela, for sharing those really powerful use cases, and I think ones that drive a lot of value for our customers. We've got a couple questions throughout the course of the presentation. Marco, I think one of yours was answered by Andy's response, but Joe Fogarty has one that says, how realistic is it for a traditional insurance company to roll out AI and low-code solutions quickly? what are the usual timelines that you're seeing? And I hate to say, but it depends, Joe, on the complexity and the use case that you have. So what we're seeing is what we actually have is called an Appian guarantee, which is that we'll get you a minimal viable product up and running within 8 weeks. I think all of my EXL counterparts speak to their capabilities in delivery, but that just tells you about the speed of delivering on low code. Low code doesn't always mean low complexity, right? And so you need to choose the right platform that can handle an end-to-end process. Underwriting and claim systems aren't rolled out in a day. They take a little bit longer, especially when there are a lot of data sources, and especially when you're training AI models. I'll allow Vikrant, anything that you would add to that one from a deployment perspective?
Yeah. What we're seeing in the market is building these solutions is actually quite quick, and it is quicker than some of the traditional technology development that you would undertake. We have actually been able to turn agents up and running in a matter of days, prototypes up and running in a matter of weeks. I think the challenge or the sort of the longer duration of work that we bump into is twofold. One of them is integrating into your BAU process flows. Depending upon the scope of the solution that you have developed and how exactly you are trying to integrate number of systems and number of data sources, it can take somewhere between 3 to 6 months. And I do not want to forget, which can happen in parallel, the change management aspect part of it. Trying to get your power users up and running can take a couple of months as well. So from sort of zero to BAU for solutions, we are seeing somewhere between 3 to 6 months. But the companies have done it faster, and in higher, more complex cases, probably a tad longer.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Another question was, how do you reconcile the need for privacy and confidentiality with the need to be connected to external sources when using AI? I think this may merit a separate session, and I'll send actually another webinar if you guys are interested in talking about navigating AI and privacy governance. Our perspective is that your data should be staying in your compliance barrier, that all the data stays where you need it to be, that we are not training the models on your data, that you get to train with your own models. I'm not an AI compliance expert. I certainly have some on my team, though, and would love to extend the conversation. But really the principles that Appian exhibits is that we're not sharing your data. We want you to train your own models, and we want you to retain control of of your data and AI. And so happy to have a deeper dive session if people are interested in that. This is something that comes up all the time, and especially with some of our customers being the Department of State, large insurers, large banks. They want to know that their data is staying within that compliance barrier. We definitely have the architecture to do so, but would love to dive a little bit deeper on that as well.
And Jack,
go ahead. Yeah.
It's also, I think, important, as you've talked about AI and process, it becomes important in this context. And the AI has a discrete job within a process. It does its job, and you determine what data it has access to, and frankly, all the guardrails around that AI. And then, so you don't have to compromise confidentiality and privacy with the need for third-party data. You just build them in the process in distinct and separate places, and then you can do it all without having to compromise anywhere. But I do think that's an important part of the conversation when you have AI and process and agility layers, is that you can have it all. It's an and conversation across the board. So I think that becomes a very important part of it, is how you build those processes and how you incorporate within.
Awesome. Thank you, Andy. I think dovetailing nicely on that is another question that we got, which is, how does an agility layer help insurers respond faster to market and regulatory changes? So Vikram or Vikrant, you guys want to take that?
Absolutely. I can take a shot, and Vikram, you can add to it. We have actually created agents for our market. Their job is to scan the regulatory proclamations and the issuance that are put out by state and compliance regulators in the market, bring them into your environment, distill it into a summary that, let's say, is fit for somebody who's responsible for compliance, and actually recommend an action to on the spectrum of this is something that does not apply to your situation versus these are the three things that you want to do, right? So there are AI agents or a combination of AI agents that are actually deployed that are constantly scanning these regulations and can help you not only respond to these regulations, more importantly, not to miss them. There are a lot of them that come out on a daily basis, and it's very hard to grow each and every one of them and to understand what are the implications for you for any particular regulation output. So I think agents are able to cognitively digest this information and put a great response in a very quick fashion for the companies.
Awesome, thanks for that. I'll do one more question before we close it out. So I think this is more of a comprehensive one, but what is the advice you would give an insurer who's just starting off on this AI automation journey? I'm sure almost everyone has dabbled in it a little bit, but from a long-term strategic perspective, when you're putting together a program like this, what's the advice you would give at the beginning?
Vikram, you want to take this one?
I think the advice that I would give would be to really chart the experience you're looking to drive, right? And I alluded to this earlier as well, and build around that experience and the customer. And the important bit is to pick limited fit for purpose use cases as you build momentum, right? I think it's important sometimes to go, especially in this journey, to go slow, to go fast. And honestly, and this is not self-serving comment, it's important to find the right partners, because I hear this from multiple insurance organizations that, hey, tech teams in the insurance world, especially at this point in time, are really stretched because there are a ton of priorities. And so there are partners who can supplement your efforts, complement your efforts, and really bring in the best of breed in terms of solutions. That would be my advice.
Fantastic. Vikrant or Andy, anything you'd add to that from an advice perspective?
The only thing I would add, and Andy, not to cut you off, one thing that we hear a lot from our clients is, should I wait? Is the next best model just around the corner? Is it the next best innovation just around the corner? And the advice we are giving to our client is that the technology will continue to move and the pace of innovation is going to continue to increase. So we do not see any advantages in waiting. What we see in advantages in experimenting and then creating capability that allow you to respond to each and every next innovation, which is developing modular solution, creating API-based integrations, using partners to bring new skill sets as you move along the journey. So trying to set the right cadence that allow you to walk with the technology is probably the best response.
Yeah, and echoing what Vikrant and Vikram have said, I mean, don't wait. So I think the important time is when to act is now, and to learn how to walk so that you can run down the road. I think it becomes important, and surround yourself with people that know what they're doing, people that have done it, and look for what you can do to make impacts to your business now. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, assign accountability to the work that you're doing around AI and around agility layer and those things. Make sure that you're getting the value that you need by knowing the value of the work that it's going after, and then measuring the outcomes so that you can prove to yourself that the work you're doing is worth it. Fantastic. Thank you. And thank you to all the panelists here. I really appreciate you guys investing the time. Hopefully everyone who attended got something out of this. It would be, I'd be remiss if I were to say this is the end. We'd love to have you guys, contact us if you want to explore any of these use cases, whether it be claims, underwriting, another process where you guys are trying to involve AI or thinking about agility layer. We'd love to continue the conversation, share more specificity around the use cases, and engage with you in thought leadership exercises. Again, thank you so much for your time. Feel free to reach out. We'll be sending contact information after this as well as the recording. So thank you so much and have a great day.